yield myself the time for the question. First, a statement. Madam Secretary, I'm gravely concerned about the safety of the residents of Camp Ashraf in Iraq. Many members, including the ranking member and I, have sought the administration's commitment to securing their protection given the Iraqi government's repeated failure to comply with its international human rights obligations to the Camp Ashraf residents. And in light of President Obama's announcements of the final withdrawal of American troops from Iraq, we need to be confident that our administration is engaged with the government of Iraq, the UN High Commissioner of Refugees, and others to ensure the welfare of Camp Ashraf residents and to resolve their long-term security goals. And my question, Madam Secretary, deals with my native homeland of Cuba, although in recent weeks I feel the need to carry my papers with me to find out when it is that I actually got to the United States. But Madam Secretary, your administration has remained in opposition to many of the world's tyrants, to your credit, yet the U.S. Continues to engage the Cuban regime. In March, you stated that Gaddafi should leave power. In June, you said that Saleh should move out of the way. In July, you stated that Assad is not indispensable, and we have absolutely nothing invested in him remaining in power. Yet in stark contrast, this administration continues to engage the Cuban regime and provide the Castro brothers economic lifelines in the form of allowing increased travel opportunities, supporting their offshore oil drilling aspirations. 2 weeks ago, in front of our committee, Undersecretary Wendy Sherman confirmed that the Department had recently met with Cuban regime officials to discuss the sad case of Alan Gross. Media reports have stated that State Department officials were willing to offer concessions, such as allowing convicted Cuban spies to return to Cuba or taking Cuba off the state sponsor of terrorism list in order to obtain the release of Mr. Gross. The United States should not be negotiating with a state sponsor of terrorism. So I ask you, Madam Secretary, why is there a double standard with the Castro regime? Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for those two questions. And let me start on Cuba, and then I will go back to Camp Ashraf and our concerns about it. You know, our position has been the same for more than 50 years. We think Fidel Castro should go. I mean, that is the unfortunate commitment that we have put forth over many years. Unfortunately, he doesn't seem to be going anywhere. And we do worry greatly about the activities of the Cuban government, and we have strongly supported the desire of the Cuban people to freely determine their own future. And it is our view that we should help those who are trying to work toward positive change. So we do support a wide variety of activities on the island. We interact with a broad cross-section of individuals and groups in Cuban society. And we provide humanitarian assistance, including food, over-the-counter medicines, and so much more. We think that that is a necessary kind of double approach. We want democracy for Cuba. We've always supported democracy for Cuba. We have tried to encourage changes and reform, but at the same time, we're going to keep working with individuals. Now,
have we met with the Cuban regime officials,
well, Chairwoman, U.S. officials
about Alan Gross or the convicted spy?
U.S. officials regularly meet with their Cuban counterparts, as I know you're aware, because we have a lot of areas of mutual concern. We have drug trafficking, we have immigration, we have all kinds of issues. And our main objective for the last 2 years has been to ensure Alan Gross's unconditional release. So at no point has the U.S. government been willing to give unilateral concessions to the Castro regime or to ease sanctions as a means to secure Mr. Gross's release. But I will underscore, we think it is a gross violation of his human rights and a humanitarian abuse that he has not been returned to his family, and we would like to see that happen as soon as possible. With respect to Camp Ashraf, which we deeply are concerned about, we know that there is an ongoing and very legitimate expression of concern. We have elicited written assurances from the government of Iraq that it will treat Ashraf residents humanely that it will not transfer residents to a country they may have reason to fear. And we are pushing very hard to get the United Nations High Commission on Refugees to work with the residents of Camp Ashraf
Thank you so
and
much.
the government to get them into a safe place.
Well, we appreciate that. Thank you so much, Madam Secretary. Mr. Payne is recognized, Ranking Member on